John Collins, we thought a trade was coming like 2 weeks ago. We wanted the Celtics. It hasn't happened yet. We haven't really heard anything about it. Do you? How are you feeling on the John Collins situation? Do you think he gets moved pre-deadline?
Well, I think the Wolves are just throwing off the what's it called, the trade market for John Collins. I think players like the Raptors, the who else? Players like the Raptors had a package for him, which the Hawks probably liked. But then with the Wolves having rumors that they're dying to get Collins and stuff like that, like it just like they're gonna try to like milk it out, try to get as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible. And I think with the possibility of these Magic players entering the trade pool as well, that's kind of messing up Collins' value. Because now, if you want a center, instead of getting Collins, you could just go for Vucevic. If you want a power forward, instead of getting a guy that can't play any defense, you get a guy that's slightly worse on offense, but way better defender in Aaron Gordon. So I think with all these like new players entering the market, the trade space is just like a little confused right now. Like, what's the value? And if John Collins, if the Wolves really want him, they could get him because they have the assets to get him, but they're just trying to mitigate how much they give up. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a done deal. I think he will be a Wolves by the end of this trade season. I think they're just waiting to see how much they could get because the Hawks have nothing to lose right now because they're not going to trade him for an impactful player right away. So they're like, hey, we'll get 3, 4 more games of Collins before we get rid of him.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. That they the Warriors have their pick, but it's top three protected. Is that
Yeah,
right? So wouldn't
yeah.
it be in their interest to not get a good player like John Collins, lose more games, finish in the bottom three of the league, and keep their pick?
Well, the team that had the worst record last year still got the fourth pick. I think like the lottery is
Yeah.
so unknowing. So like you just kind of get the best player possible, move on. Yeah, so they could keep D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, have a power forward center combo of John Collins and Cat, and then they could just sign a good young small forward, and then they could just go on from there. And the players they have to move, they have Jared Culver, they have Josh Okogie, they have Beasley, who's averaging 20 points a game. They also have, they could give up any seconds. They could try to flip Rubio for a late first, a protected first. So they have enough assets to kind of pool around where they keep those three guys and get John Collins in.
Yeah. And this John Collins kind of leads into the Kyle Lowry rumors because I don't it wouldn't be a straight up Kyle Lowry for John Collins trade if the Raptors did want to go after John Collins. It would probably be Lowry to either Miami or Philly, and then those assets would be on the way to the Hawks to get Collins. Probably between the Raptors, like you said, Wolves. Do you feel like the Mavericks are a contender for him?
I think a lot of teams are contenders, they just aren't releasing reports. I think any rebuilding team, like if I was the Magic personally, I would like those assets that I'm getting from what's it called? From a like a Aaron Gordon, and I would just put those assets to get a John Collins. Or if I'm like if I have to give up Vucevic, I'll get John Collins too. Like just any of those teams that are about to hit their rebuild or a retool in the Raptors scenario, any of those teams, John Collins is valuable. I think just being a 20-point scorer last year who shot 40% from three and you're 6'9", like you just have the size to be a good defender and you just have the size and shot to be a big impactful player. And the Raptors, he's going to be like what, the third, fourth scoring option. So just way less pressure on the offensive end. And I think he's a very, very coveted trade asset. I think everyone's offering like the same range of deal. So the Hawks are just waiting for one team to be like, hey,
Yeah.
enough of this playing around. Let me beat all other teams and throw in an extra first or something like that.
Yeah, and he feels like a guy who could get moved to a team and then suddenly average like 24 or something, and people would be like, why wasn't every team in the league after him, right? So yeah, if I were any team that is kind of like you said retooling, I would definitely be going after John Collins. Thanks for watching. Listen to the Stretch the Floor podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on Instagram.